Hey guys, it's Comet. I put up a, or actually Cybele I mean, I don't use Comet on this game. I put a build up not too long ago, back in November, December or so, with my healing tank build, like bunker build. And I still use it, but it's received a few modifications as of late, and I just felt like showing the sword off a little bit. That is the wrong sword for this right now. I need Grit Saw, there we go. But the build's seen a few changes over the last month or two. I've focused it a little bit more on actually getting some passive damage out there as opposed to being straight tanking, although it is still very potent in the tanking area. It's both. It's a more offensive, defensive version of it. Like, your offense will fuel your defense for the setup. If you haven't seen the original video, go and see it. It is on YouTube, which you're probably watching this there as well. Same general premise, just slightly tweaked. So, let's start off here basically with the big thing to get out there. The skill bars, I've dropped the Signet of Midnight. I have switched over to feedback, which that goes into my traits. I'm using feedback for getting chaos armor through elite finishers. Is this setup I primarily use the sword for my melee combat and for just general rooting and getting chaos armor. I have not tested this build with staff yet. I do use it from time to time, but it's not my main focus. Granted, if you have a staff, you don't need feedback for condition damage or for chaos armor because you've already got it from chaos, solid, everything chaos basically. But as far as the skills go, skills haven't changed much. Still 2 mantras, still Signet of Illusions, feedback. I'm using Time Warp a lot more now, not because of the quickness, but because it's a 10-second long ethereal combo field that you also happen to speed up when you use. Unfortunately, none of the other ones have combo finishers, so I'm kinda stuck on that. So let's get into traits. Where it's changed, where it's the same. The general premise is the same as far as point allotment goes. 30 inspiration, 30 illusions, and 10 anywhere here. Arguably, if you wanted to, you could put 5 dueling, 5 chaos. That way you get the regen and you get the vigor. So you always have your vigor going to keep your endurance up, and it's regen. Who doesn't like regen? But as far as changes go, the current weapon setup I'm using is still Greatsword as my main weapon, because I am focusing more on a you stay over there kind of thing, and I like the Berserker. What can I say? And I'm using the Blade Training sword cooldown reduction, because I'm using the feedback bubbles to create the leap finishers. Dropping the cooldown down to 8 seconds on the leap finisher is a godsend, because you get a few seconds with the chaos armor every time you do it. The torch is still viable. By no means is the torch not viable. If you decide to go with the torch instead, you may want to look into things like Phantasmal Fury, or even Protected Mantras is effective. I mean, that's up to you. If you're really avid on the torch, though, you may want to look into one of other trees here. So, I mean, I haven't run it as a main since I ran Domination. Because Domination, you could get into the whole blinding and all that fun stuff. Or, I mean, Clone's Crippling and all that fun stuff, and Signet Recharge. As for the other 2 trees, they have received some minor changes. There's still Mender's Purity, that hasn't changed. The big traits on here, Illusionary Persona and Restorative Illusions, they're not changing. That's the backbone of this build. Although, word of warning, current build, we have an internal cooldown. Wow, lag. We have a 1/4 of a second internal cooldown, so you can't burst shatter as crazy as you used to be able to, but it's still there. Before you forgot, the forums have said, the developer said on there that it is a band-aid patch. So I'm assuming, give it another week or 2, maybe they'll get the initial issue fixed. I hope to God they do, because it's hurting our burst heal. As far as traits go, Mender's Purity, still there for inspiration. I have switched out the Blinding Causes Confusion, because I'm not running Torch at the moment, as I'm running the dual sword setup, which, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't run that to begin with too much. unless you want to do the Signet bombing, if you need that combo break. Because this current build doesn't actually have a stun break. It's more or less, I'm knocked down, I just keep healing. That's more or less the premise I'm going with it here. Or, you know, you got distortion available too. It's like, hey, you're doing nothing to me while I'm stuck down or stunned or all that fun stuff. But I've got the Glamour recharge now for the feedback. Just to get it up more frequently. Instead of a 45-second cooldown, you have a 32. So your Ethereal Field is out more often. You can alternatively use Null Field if you want to be a little more defensive. Although I find that if you've got Mantra of Recovery and you have Mender's Purity, you don't really need Null Field. Like I've already in this setup got Mantra of Resolve on also. That charges a lot faster than Null Field does. But to each their own, that is preferential. If you're running a staff, maybe you want the Null Field to go with the feedback. Entirely up to you. Or if you want to give a little more team support in, although this is kind of a selfish build. Aside from the feedback bubble, this build is pretty selfish. Most of this is going to you. So over to the Illusions tree. I can't remember if this was actually in the original build or not. I believe it was. Cry of Frustration grants Retaliation. That's kind of the shift I've made in this build. It's more of a defensive, hey, try to hit me kind of setup where anyone's attempt to attack me hurts them and I just sustain through their burst. This general idea. I'll get into that a little more later, how the combat's changed a bit. Second one, I've been dabbling with Distortion grants Reflection a bit. I've been enjoying that. Since this has shifted more to a bit more of a Phantasm heavy build for the regen and all the other bonuses, and just the fact that Phantasms, they do damage that I can't do on my own because I'm busy tanking it out. Having Master Reflection ready is nice, especially in World versus World when you're in a siege and everyone's like, oh, there's a Mesmer there, he's going to make portals. And it's like, I don't use portals, I use feedback and I use reflection. And you can kind of catch people off guard with that. And all of a sudden, ow, I'm getting hit for like 40k damage that I intended to hit that target. And it's very fun. Reflect a kill shot and enjoy your day. Final skill, still Illusionary Persona. As far as the gear on this goes, this hasn't changed much either. It's still the same general concept, although I have one random condition damage thing there. Ignore that. That is just a placeholder until I get a Transmute Stone for it. The idea is I'm running Magi and Cleric stats, so everything's mainly healing power. And I have a pretty healthy mix of precision and vitality and power and toughness along with that. So it's kind of a nice even ground. I have a 33% crit chance with either weapon. Same goes for most of my accessories here. I've been trying to find anything Magi's, Claw of the Howling King's Magi stats. I really like that. You get your precision, you get your healing power. Cleric Amulet. Working on these here. Got my guild backpack. For the weapons, same idea. These, the only thing that's changed here is a couple of sigils. My Great Saw, since I've got the crit rate up now, I didn't have as high a crit rate in the last video. I'm running Sigil of Blood. You get your life steal. I believe it's 950 health stolen per tick. It's every 2 seconds. It's pretty good. You can't complain with that. It deals the damage and you get the health. Why not? I still have the Superior Sigil of Life in my offhand sword. It was initially on my main hand sword, then I switched it up a little bit. I'm a little mixed on this. I like this when I'm in just in PvE, because you're going to get it stacked up anyways. You fight that many enemies getting to wherever you're going. So if you're in a lower level area, like say Ashford for your dailies, you've got 100-something healing power in an area where everyone's got like 10. Can't complain with that, getting a full heal out of a single mantra. There was one fun rune set that came out with the Winter's Day event. I'm running this now. It's Generosity. The Superior Sigil is fairly cheap, and it's 60% chance to transfer a condition to your foe on a critical hit. So this kind of ties in with the whole tankiness where it's like, I'm just going to sit here and take everything, and then you can pop Blurred Frenzy and send all the horrible things they've given you back at them before you clear whatever's left. So you can kind of manage it a little bit. It's especially fun if a warrior immobilizes you. You can just smack him back and give that immobilize to him and take off, because it's not an on-crit, it's a 60% anyway, so you don't need to rely on your critical hits to deal it. Alright, well, on to combat. As I was saying, this has gotten a little more offensive defensive. What I mean by that is a lot of times you're going to open up with a feedback bubble. or whatever you happen to find that's convenient. I'm talking mostly PvP in this, or PvE in this case. Once you started your, say, your Mirror Blade, you've started your Berserker, throw a feedback bubble there before it hits. Catch that combo field. If you want to do just a straight burst, what I'll wind up doing is I'll get up to my target and be like, okay, there's my target. It says, practice dummy. Ah, horrible, bad, nasty thing. I will throw my Mirror Blade, Berserker, switch, dash, leap, Endurance Frenzy, and then Cry Frustration. Yes, it's a lot of chainsaw. What I've done right there, I've gotten Chaos Armor, it's gone now. I've gotten my Might stacks, which last update I would have had 9 stacks. A little broken, I know. I got my Retaliation for a good 20 seconds because I've got 4 stacks of 1 off of myself. And the 3 from my clones. It's all this nice defensive stuff going at once. Just basically, you're attacking me, you get punished, and my target's got a bunch of stacks of confusion on them between from Mirror Blade getting confusion and bouncing up the same target, which also puts vulnerability on them. And from the Berserker hitting them. So the Berserker will trigger Confounding Bolts, which just gives everything around him confusion. Always nifty. And it does actually, it expands the area of effect attack, because those will go beyond his normal arc. So you can more or less use it as an event farming skill in ore or whatever. That's the big thing, you want to be using that. This build I also, since I'm using dual swords, it's introduced the stun on this. So you're not locked into using, say, a pistol. If you need an additional stun, which you've already got a few of them. When I'm running Ascalon, I'll take feedback out and I'll put the stun mantra up, but until then I do have the block and then double tap the stun. But that's the main gist of it. Like I said, there are a couple of things right now that we have to wait to, like, just, we can't do that anymore. We gotta actually sit down and time those and spread them out more than just bursting them, which you should be doing anyways. But the shatters still work, so it's not like some horrific nerf has happened that's going to cause this game to not work anymore. As far as the healing goes with the bursts, I would recommend that you don't burn Cry Frustration for it. Save that for when you need it, because it's going to become your primary shatter, oddly enough. Most people don't like it that much, but it's your primary shatter for this. I would instead burn Mind Rack. Mind Rack refreshes really quickly. It's 15 seconds. Actually, it's 11 seconds with this build. So, boom, shatter. 11 seconds. Boom, shatter. You can just keep it up the whole time. And I would pop Diversion as well, because you're not going to use it that much in this current setup, since it doesn't stack on itself, and you don't really need the stun that much in this current build. Distortion is a little more important now. I would, if you're not fighting somebody ranged, or somebody doesn't have a lot of burst damage, go ahead and pop it. But otherwise, save that for a rainy day, because it can save you now that it's got reflection and that it's distortion. You get 4 seconds of invulnerability. What else are we missing here? Oh yeah, rune sets. Runes are largely the same thing. The flak, the water, still my main suggestions for it. They give you a huge mantra heal every 10 seconds. I'm talking like a 7k big honkin' heal. Or whatever the huge amount I was healing beforehand. Because you get your own heal, plus you get the additional stack of heal on top of that. Right now, though, I am, since I was saying I'm playing a little more offensively, I'm running Rata Sum right now, which I might sub back out for the Flak again. If you're running the Flak, that bird will blind, so if you have confusion on blind, it actually does work together when people are hitting you. But right now I'm using the Rata Sum ones because it has one little nifty effect to it. It doesn't create the combo field, but basically every 2 minutes you have a radiation field queued up for when somebody hits you. So with the poison duration and weakness duration, someone triggers that, you trigger the field, you've just dulled down their healing and cut their damage down by a third for, you know, however long they sit in that field, you know, in 3 seconds of a stack per hit. PvE, this thing's awesome. Because it puts a surprising amount of damage out. I didn't expect it to hit that hard. I really like it. PvP, or not PvP, I mean world versus world. If you jump down in front of your gate while you're defending it, and someone tags you, run back inside and watch as the gate suddenly isn't taking nearly as much damage for the next X amount of seconds. It's really nifty. And also, I'm running it because it's got precision bonuses on it. I put a lot more into my precision this time around. I really want this lifesteal to trigger more often. That's what it says it does exactly what it says on the cover. It steals life, and you need life. This is all about healing. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have anything you want to throw in here about the build, any tweaks you want to try out, let me know. Just post it up in the forums here. This video is going to either be in a new thread or it's going to be posted in as an update to the previous one. If you guys want to bring up anything with it or just play with me, I'm on Kynig, we're no longer a bottom tier server. Gotta brag about that a little bit. I'm on an overflow right now, but we're no longer bottom tier. Sybol, S-Y-B-O-L is my username. And I hope to catch you guys in game, and hopefully someone will give this build a shot.